Hi everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of our dye class. Today we're going to be using some natural ingredients, and you'll see here I have some blueberries, and I have a red onion, and I have Kool-Aid. I have some spices. We have turmeric and paprika, and then we have our mordants. And a mordant is basically a fancy word for fixative. So you can use, depending on the fabric, you can use white vinegar, alum, or salt. Now, alum works best on like your plant vegetable dyes, so that really works the best to keep it. If you're not washing something, really doesn't matter, because if you're putting it on a card or on a project, you're not going to throw it in the washing machine. But if you're actually dyeing fabrics, you will need a mordant. Okay, so I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. I have 3 pots of water going here. Make sure you use old pans that are not going to be used for anything else, just because the dye stays in it. You know, sometimes you can bleach them, things like that, but I prefer to just use my old pans, and then I don't have to worry about it. I just wash them out. They're clean. They're stained. Not a big deal. Okay, so in this small pan, we're going to do the onion. And when you do an onion, if you're dyeing a lot of fabric or lace, you need a large amount. What you're going to use is this crispy outer edge. You're not going to use the actual onion. So you can still eat the onion or use it for cooking or whatever. And just break it into small pieces and throw it in your water. Okay. And I'm going to get all of this crispy stuff off. So give me just a second. Now some of it is still wet, like this is still fine. I'm going to throw that in there anyway. Won't hurt anything, but basically you want the outer layer, and you don't want that, that wet skin part if you can help it. Now, like this one has a little too much, so I'm just going to tear off the bottom crispy part, because I don't want my whole house smelling like onions either. Okay, one more little piece here. Now, to do about 1 pound of fabric, you need about 2 cups of onion skins to about 1 gallon of water. But I'm just doing a little bit of lace to demonstrate. So I'm just using 1 onion. You get 4 cups approximately. You'll need about 3 or 4 onions. Okay, then you're just going to push that down into the water. And you're going to let those boil away for a little while. Okay, now, on this one, I'm going to use blueberries. So I'm just taking my blueberries, and I'm just going to throw them in there. Okay, then you want to take your spoon and you want to kind of crush them up. Okay, and you'll do this several times, which is one of the reasons why I chose to do this as a video series this time instead of an actual class, because we could do it in the kitchen, and we have the time to show all the processes instead of just parts of them. So just get them a little mashed. If you have a potato masher, that works great. I don't have one. Okay, and in this one, I think we will go ahead and do one of the spices. So let's start with paprika. Okay, paprika, and this is just my little spice jars that I keep them in. They're magnetic and stick to the side of the refrigerator. Now, how much to put in? I don't know. Put it in until you like the color. And remember, you're always going to dye past the stage that you want color-wise. So if you want a light color, use less. If you want a darker color, use more. And what that will do, I'm just going to stir it up. What that will do is, if you dye it past the color that you actually want, when you rinse it, and you will have to rinse these natural ones. When you rinse it, it will dilute slightly. So always use a little more than you think you're going to want. All right, so now we're going to add some different mordants. To the onion skins and to the blueberries, I'm going to use alum. Okay, readily found in the grocery store. I don't know what else you use it for. There's some kind of cooking. Oh, here it says, used to prepare crisp pickles. But that's not what I'm going to use it for. So let me get the lid off. This is a brand new jar, so I don't make pickles. And I don't do this kind of dyeing very often. I usually just use the Rit. But occasionally you want something different and natural and something that you can't get in a, you know, a regular. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in. You'll need about 2, if you're dyeing a pound of fabric and you're using a big pot with the 4 cups, you need 2 teaspoons. Okay, but I'm not doing that much, so I'm just pouring a little bit in. And remember, alum works the best on vegetable and plant dyes. So set that aside. Now for the turmeric, I'm going to add salt. And again, these are just fixatives. All it does is make sure that it gets into the fabric well. Okay, so let those boil away. And I'm going to just show you here. This is the color that the paprika is coming up. Whoops, I'm spilling it. I don't know if you can see that very well because it's a dark pan, but it's kind of a golden orange color. And my blueberries, whew, that's hot. Hang on. My blueberries are really doing well. And as you can see here, we're getting a lavender color. Okay. Now, blue is the absolute hardest color to come up with in natural dyes. There are a few things that you can use. Black beans will give you a bluish tint, but it's more like a stonewashed denim. So your Rit, and you'll see, we'll do one with Kool-Aid that's blue. Those are going to give you the best color. Now this one is starting to come up, and it's like a golden, like a purpley golden, but it's going to end up being more gold than anything else, even though it's a red onion. And if you use yellow onions, you get a really deep, like tea dye color. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn the video off and let these just sit for a minute so that they get good and ready. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and wet my fabric, because you always want to use well-soaked fabric, lace, whatever it is. Okay, so I will be back in a little bit. Simmer for a while, probably about 15-20 minutes. You can do it longer if you want a brighter color. Totally up to you, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to keep it kind of on the mild side. So I've wet 3 pieces of fabric. This one is the synthetic, and it's from the store. It's just little flowers. And then I've got one that's tulle and cotton embroidery. And I've got another one that's like a sheer fabric, like a organza, with cream colored cotton flowers on it. Okay, so like I said, these are all just sample pieces, and we're going to give it a try. So the first thing I want to do, I think I want these flowers to be the purple color. So the first thing you have to do, oh, let me grab my pot holder again, still hot, is strain off your actual dye ingredients. So I'm just taking a big slotted spoon and pulling the blueberries out. Okay, and you can, because it's just water and alum, I mean, I wouldn't eat them, but I suppose you could if you did it without the alum and added the alum after. And I'm just going to strain all these blueberries out. Now, I have a PDF that I found online from Pioneer Thinking, I believe it was, that was really the best list I've ever seen of all the natural ingredients you can use and what colors they will turn things. So I'm going to put that in the Gone Artsy files, but I want to make sure that they got credit because they actually did the work of all the different things you could use. And you can access that for your natural plants and spices and things like that. Okay, I think, yeah, I've got them all. Okay, so I'm going to stick this, it's all wet, and I'm just going to stick it in there. And then you want to make sure you push it down and agitate it a little bit. Okay, now just that little bit of time has already brought up this, you know, very pale lavender color. But it is a synthetic fabric, and synthetics do not absorb color as well. So we're going to let that sit, and I'm going to let it sit for about an hour. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is the turmeric, and I'm going to use this this color, this fabric. It's a tulle with the white cotton. I'm going to put that in there. And there's nothing to strain on this one, so. All right. So just after a second, I'm going to bring this over a little closer. You can see we've got kind of an ivory color, and it's real pretty. So you can leave this and get it, a deeper orangey color, or you could take it out now and rinse it and have a nice pretty ivory. Okay, and the last one is our onion skins. Pull the skins out. And what we have, it's hard to describe, is more of a yellow. Even though you think you're going to get a purple color, it's more of a yellow. But because it's the purple, it has just a slight hue to it of lavender. If you use straight yellow, you're going to get more like what you get in the turmeric. So here we have an ivory piece, okay, and it's wet again. All of these were wet first. I throw it in, and again, depending on the color that you want, is how long you let it sit. And the biggest key, though, is make it 1 shade darker or 2 shades darker than what you're actually looking for, because once you rinse it, some of that color will come out. So now you can see I've just had it in there for a second, and it went from ivory to kind of a yellowy color. I know it's hard to see on here, but I'll do some still shots at the end so you can see. Okay, so we're going to let that sit too. I want that a brighter yellow, so I'm going to leave that for about an hour. So I will be back and we will do the next batch. Okay, so it's been an hour and I'm going to pull these out, and you might want to use gloves or something like that, but I'm just going to pull it out because I don't really care. And I'm just going to squeeze it out. Now you can see the onion skins did a kind of a greenish yellow color. And I'm going to rinse that, dump this out. Okay, so there's that one. Now let's look at the paprika. And in this one, it's a light orange, like almost like a peach color. If you can see that, it's really pretty. Peach is one of my favorite colors. And then dump that one too, and rinse it. Now, when you're using natural dyes, they don't get as dark or bright, of course, as like Rit. But you can leave it in longer to get brighter colors or whatever. Okay, so this is the blueberry, and we've got like a nice lavender color. Okay, let me dump that one and rinse it. And I'll come back and show you what we've got so far. Okay, so I've rinsed this. Now, with the blueberry, I would recommend maybe not rinsing it because it came out kind of a grayish lavender. It's really pale. But again, this is a synthetic fabric. If you use cotton, it's going to be brighter. So, and you can see here what the color was. This is the, that fusible web stuff that they used to sew. So it was a darker, brighter purple. Okay. Now this is the paprika, and it's a nice peach color. And then this is the onion skin. The red onion gave me a green color. So, if you don't like these colors, we'll talk about over dyeing later, but I'm pretty happy. The peach one's my favorite. I really like how that turned out. This purple one, I would probably re-dye. And this green, if you're looking for a green leaf, would be perfect. Don't love it on this green, on this particular lace. So I'm going to move that aside. All right, I'm going to clean up, get some more water boiling, and then we'll be back with the last 3 dye baths. Okay, so for this next set, we're going to use the spiced turmeric and lots of spices. I mean, you can use cinnamon, you can use probably basil if you want like a green. Like I said, I will have a list up of the recommended ones by Pioneer Home or Pioneer Thinking. And then I've got packages of Kool-Aid. I've got a blue and a strawberry. So when you're using Kool-Aid, you need to use vinegar. It's kind of like dyeing eggs. So just, I've got a very little bit of water here, so I'm going to use a couple capfuls. Whoops, I'm leaning on that. A couple capfuls of vinegar and stick that in there. And since we're doing 2 colors, add it to this one too. And again, you know, use the correct amounts, which I will also list if you're doing bigger batches. Okay, now for the turmeric, we're going to go back to either using salt or alum, and I'm going to use the salt. And it's just a fixative. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to put my turmeric in. Find my opening. There we go. And I'm just dumping some in. Now this should give me a bright yellow. I've done this one several times, and I like the bright yellow that it comes out. I'm going to stir that up. We need to let it come to a boil, but I'll show you it's kind of a, you know, orangey yellow, but it comes out of like a sun yellow. Whoops, I just spilled all over the place. Whew. This is a messy project. Okay, so I'm going to put a package of blue in the smaller pan because I want it kind of concentrated. And this is going to be a very blue. See? If you want blue, you have to pretty much use either Kool-Aid or Rit. Okay, and in this one I'm going to put the strawberry, which should be a light pink. If you wanted a brighter red, use cherry. You know, adjust it according to what you're looking for. And leave it in the dye bath for the amount of time that you choose. Okay? And this, you can see, is like a bright pink red, like a fuchsia. Okay, so we're going to let those come to a boil, and I'm going to get my fabric ready in the meantime. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did wash my pans with soap and water. There was a little bit of stain, but not too bad, and it won't come off into your new stuff. So, all right, I'm going to get this ready, let it boil, and I'll be back. Okay, so all of our solutions are at a boil, and wanted to talk about a couple different things this time. There is a technique called over dye, which just basically is just like it sounds. You dye over the color you already have. So I wasn't real thrilled with this grayish purple, and I really am not happy with this green at all. So we're going to try over dyeing those. And then I took one that was already pink, came from the factory that way, and we're going to dye that. And then I've also got some white pieces. So one is synthetic, one is cotton. And we're going to try to dye these. So I'm going to do this pink one. I'm going to put in the blue. And you just stick it in there. And I don't know with this. I'm hoping for a lavender color, but we'll see. So that's in there. And this grayish purple one I'm going to do in the strawberry. Stick that in there, and you can already see it's already dyed over it. So we're going to let that boil in there. This green one, I don't know. I'm going to think about that for a second. Okay, and these two, a synthetic and a cotton, I'm going to throw in to the turmeric bath, just so you can see those. And I'm going to try throwing this in the green. What the heck? It can't hurt anything. If it doesn't work, it's an experiment. I've over dyed before, but never over green, so we'll see what happens. And the blue is having a tougher time boil for some reason. So we'll just let that sit. And now that's getting to be a pretty color. So we're going to let those sit. Let's take a look at this one. See how bright an orange. Hang on, I don't want to get too much. See, it gets, and once we rinse it, it'll lighten up, of course, but, you know. So we're going to let those sit for a little while and come back and see what our results are. So I will see you in a minute. So it's been about 30 minutes, excuse me, and let's take a look at what we have here. In the turmeric, you can see we have a pretty bright orange, and it's really still hot, so I'm not going to use my fingers. And then on the, that was on the cotton, and then on the synthetic, we have like a bright sunshiny yellow. So it does depend on the fabric that you use. So let me rinse these. Okay. Now, I ended up pulling out the pink one a little while ago out of the blue because I didn't like what it was doing. So I threw it in with this red one, and it was already pink, but I thought, well, we'll just see what if it can be a brighter pink. So there we have both of our, and they're both the same type of synthetic fabric. So there we have our pink out of the strawberry. So give me a second. Oh, hot. Okay, and in our green one, or I mean that green one that we put in the blue, you can see it's turned kind of a minty. It's going to end up being mint once I rinse it, but it's kind of a bluish green, turquoise. Okay, so let's take a look at our results here. So that last one that we did, you can see it's a mint, dark mint green. I hope you can see that. It might look a little turquoise on the screen, but it's actually a really dark mint color. And then, of course, we had our original peach one that I didn't over dye. So that one was over dyed. We first did the onions, then we did the blue. Now, this is the original pink one, and it was a pale baby pink. And now we have just a slightly different color of pink. Now, this one's been in 3 different dyes. So it's almost like a peachy pink. It's interesting. And this one was an over dye too. And it started out white. It went to that grayish purple color, lavender, and now it's kind of a mottled pink. Now, my favorite, I told you before, was turmeric. I use it a lot to dye. This is on a synthetic, and we've got a bright sunshine yellow. Okay, and then this is on a cotton, and we've got what I would like to call UT burnt orange. So it's a really kind of a dark orange. And again, you can get varying tones depending upon the amount of spice you use, the amount of water that you use, you know, that kind of thing. So let's go and do a review here real quick. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that whatever you choose for your dye colors, you add a fixative. Natural dyes absolutely have to have the fixative. If not, when you rinse it out, I mean, you can see on some of these, they just rinsed out almost pale anyway, depending on the fabric. Even this one that was a cotton got to a really pale peach. So you really need those fixatives. The amount of time that you leave it in the dye and the amount of dye will adjust your colors. The type of fabric that you use will determine your end result. And length of time that you let it sit will also. I don't know if I said that, but anyway. But yeah, that's just a very basic covering of how to dye lace. We did the sprays and the rits and all that last time. I personally think it's quicker, easier, and you get better results with RIT. But sometimes you want to play with what you already have in the house and not spend money. And you can do that, as you see, with your spices and let's say you have strawberries in the house or blueberries or, whatever. Avocado skins is the most popular, of course. That gives you a dusty pink color. It's actually kind of similar to this one. But yeah, so you have lots of alternatives that you can use. Just look around your house. The key to this is play. It's not rocket science. If you don't like it, dye over it. It's really a lot of fun to try and come up with different colors and see what you can do. And I don't know, I just think it's fun. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I will try to get back to you. Or you can PM me directly or go to our Gone Artsy fan page and leave me a comment there and I'll be happy to try and answer it for you. Again, I'm going to put the PDF with all the natural type dye ingredients that I found on Pioneer Thinking. That will be in the Gone Artsy files. So if you really want to play with this, my best suggestion is just grab some things and experiment. What's the worst that can happen? Use small bits first, and then if you really like the result, throw the rest in. It's that simple. All right, guys, enjoy, and we will have one more class in this learning series, but it won't be until May because I'm moving. It might be the end of April. We'll see, but I'll let you know. I do have to move, set up my studio, get everything ready before I can do another class, so I hope you'll understand. And I hope you enjoyed this one and the last one, and this will be a 3-part series, and then we'll be done with learning how to dye. Thanks. Bye.